Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Media and Entertainment Association of India, I warmly welcome all of you to this important webinar. India currently has 16 official co-production treaties with various countries, including Portugal, Brazil, Israel, Canada, China, UK, Germany, Bangladesh, Australia, etc. However, cashback incentives have only been recently introduced. Official co-production under the bilateral treaties are now eligible for a 30% cashback up to USD 3.6 million or INR 30 crores, with additional state incentives of up to USD 1.2 million, which is INR 10 crores. The government is actively encouraging the industry to take advantage of these benefits, which is a welcome change because generally the industry is running behind government, but this is a reverse where the government is actively encouraging the industry to take the benefits under this scheme. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Shruti Rajkumar, Vice President FFO, Invest India, Ministry of INB, who will present and guide us on how to benefit from this scheme. So over to you, Ms. Shruti.
Thanks, Ankur. I just want to quickly introduce the team as well. So I know you've been in touch with Leena and Ram. So Leena and Ram are both based out of Delhi. So we're a 6-member team. So there are 4 members in Delhi. We're 2 people in Mumbai. So Leena is AVP Film Facilitation Office Desk. She's also been part of the team for many, many years. So, she's the person to go to for any other support that you might need with permissions, etc. There's Ram, who's been integral with getting this the revised incentives up and running. He doesn't have his camera on. I can't quite see him. Is that okay? So Ram and Leena in Delhi. There's also Devansh. There's Ardra. So we're a 6-member team now. So we're here to kind of make the entire process easy. I'll just quickly take you through just the broad strokes of what the incentives are. What is it that Film Facilitation Office does? I'm sure many of you are already aware of what the desk does, but just a quick refresher in terms of what the desk can be supportive, support you with. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. So 3 main core pillars of what the Film Facilitation Office kind of stands for. One is, of course, supporting you with all your permission requirements that you might have in terms of, let's say, whether it's navigating a specific area that you want to shoot in, whether it's visa clearances or equipment that you want to bring in, or even if it's just general advice in terms of, which state do we reach out to, what do we do, specific, protected areas that you might want to shoot with. It can be any query to do with filming, and whether it's domestic and international shoots, you reach out to us and we're here as a team to support you with your requirements from start to finish. The incentives that have been recently announced, both managing the applications that come in, making sure that you get those approvals in time, and ensuring those disbursals are coming to you in time is something that we make sure that it's a seamless process for the filmmakers. It can be, especially because it's a fairly new policy, it is a fairly exhaustive document as well for everyone to go through, really guiding you with your queries that you might have. We're always there for any questions. So incentives, anything and everything to do with incentive, whether it's questions and how to sort of navigate it, we're available. And of course, doing sessions like these, getting more people to be aware of it and reach out to us for projects is something that is very important, an important part of what we do. Now really getting into the policy itself. We've tried to simplify it as much as possible. To just give you a broad sense, the incentives are broken up into 2 big pillars. There's one is the foreign film projects, and then there's the official co-productions that you were talking about, Ankur. So diving straight into what are the kind of formats that are eligible and what are the formats that are not eligible. And this is really the first step for you to understand whether your project is eligible for the incentives or not. Three types of formats that are eligible. One is, of course, feature films. There's commercial TV shows and series, and web shows, animation series. They're all eligible formats. Key factors for everyone to keep in mind here is the duration. Now, for instance, if it's a feature film, it has to be a minimum of 72 minutes in terms of duration. If it's a standalone series, then it needs to be 30 minutes, which is essentially what we also call broadcast length. And web series, web show series are all eligible, which is provided, you apply it for as a whole series as opposed to a single episode. Animation projects are also eligible formats. Now, in terms of application process, and these are all based, we kind of put this together in terms of the kind of questions that also come our way. You reach out to the Film Facilitation Office. You apply for these on the web portal of FFO, and the permitting authority for all these three formats is the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. The fourth category, which is documentaries, which is also a lot of, we have filmmakers who reach out to us, also eligible for the incentives. Duration has to be a minimum of 30 minutes. The only difference here for you to keep in mind is that the permitting authority is the Ministry of External Affairs, and where you need to put in the application is the nearest Indian mission. But apart from that, once you get your permission process, you can reach out to us for the incentives. You let us know what your budgets are, and then we'll help you navigate the next steps. Big question is what is not eligible. Reality shows, any news shows, music videos, ads, corporate films, all are not eligible formats as it stands right now. Just going to go back to this. So if your project falls under any of these buckets, then automatically it gets is not eligible essentially for the incentives. Okay, so now the first section of the incentive is, like I mentioned, the live shoots. So the foreign projects are live shoots, and then the second bucket is the animation, is the post-production, it's the VFX part of it. 5 very key points for you to remember. One is the fact that there needs to be a minimum qualifying spend of 3 crores in India. There is no minimum spend required for documentaries. You can get a reimbursement of up to 40%. Now, how that 40% is split is there's a 30% which you get on the qualifying production expenditure. There's an additional 5% which is a bonus for employing 15% or more Indian labor. And there's an additional 5% over and above that, which is for what we call significant Indian content. The cap remains the same. It's incentive of up to 30 crores or $3.6 million US dollars, like you mentioned. Now, how we define significant Indian content are these. So if 25% or more of the total budget of the film is spent in India, if any of the lead characters or lead talent is Indian, any of the creative heads of departments can be Indian, it shows India in a positive light, shows really the beauty of India. If any one of these factors you feel your project is eligible for, then you can say that I'm eligible to that additional 5% as well. There would be a special committee that would be formed by the end of you putting in your application for final dispersal. We'll see if you're eligible based on these 5 points, and if you are, then that 5% also comes to you. But at the time of application, it's you ticking in a box. You kind of make that decision for yourself if you feel that one of these is eligible for your project. Application process is, we've simplified it as much as possible, and we've kept it very easy. The who needs to apply is the first question. So it has to be a line production partner. It has to be your, production service company based out of India. You go to the FFO portal, put in the application. There's a $220, when it's a live shoot, there's a $225 fee that you have to put in. You first need to take the first step before you even start with anything is to basically make sure that you get your shooting permission. So prior shooting permission is important before you put in an interim application approval. Once you put in you send us your script in, you give us all the details, you get your shooting permission, then you move on to the next step, which is the interim approval stage. Now, what we mean by interim approval is you essentially tell us this is what your total budget or your likely spend in India is going to be. These are the places you're going to shoot at. Here's your final script. Here's your final contract between your partner. There are about 10 to 11 documents that you need to submit. Most of it is very easily available. For instance, if it's a GST details or a self-attested PAN card, those details you will have easily accessible. And at the time of you applying for your filming permission, chances your contract is also in. So it's not like you have to go out and get any additional documentation that you would not already have access to. You give us your budget estimate schedule of when you're starting shooting, when you're completing shooting. And basis this, we essentially do a calculation at our end, and we let you know in terms of, provided all your documentation is in place, this is how much you're likely to get as incentives. And the final stage is, of course, once you complete your entire project, you let us know within 90 days that give us all your budget audited statements. And then we go through it, and we'll, provided everything is good, we make sure that we clear the funds to you within 90 days of us going through everything. If there are any issues, then we reach out to you and we say, okay, XYZ is missing. Kindly, respond to it and give us the corrected documentation. So it's always a conversation back and forth. It's not like you kind of submit your documentation and you don't know what's happening at this end. We keep you in the loop. If there's something missing, we let you know. So there's clear conversation at every step of the way. To give you a sense of the timelines as well, now the shooting permission, whether it's interim approval, both these timelines we give ourselves about 21 working days to respond to you with whether it's shooting permission or if it's interim approval. If at all there's something missing, then we let you know that XYZ documentation is missing, and then you have 15 days to respond to us with the correct one. But provided everything is in place, in 21 days is what we give ourselves. Now the animation, post-production, VFX, all of these are eligible for the incentives as well. Now, unlike in live shoots where there was a minimum qualifying spend of 3 CR, over here is 1 crore, where the minimum spend in India needs to be. The reimbursement is up to 30% of the qualifying production expenditure. But how we calculate that qualifying production expenditure is there's an automatic reduction of 25% for whatever software license cost that there might be. So 75% of whatever your spends in India is what we consider as QPA, and 30% of that is what you're eligible to in terms of incentives. In animation projects as well, the additional 5% for significant Indian content holds true. And the total comes to 35%. And the cap for both remains the same. There's no change with that. It's still 30 crores per project. Similar application process, but there's only one key step that gets removed over here, is that you don't need a prior permission before you start working on your project. Your interim approval then becomes key over here. So at this stage, within 4 weeks of you finalizing your contract with your partner is when you need to put in the application for an interim approval. And the reason I'm harping on these dates is because it's extremely important that you stick to those timelines. If you miss those dates, if it's not within 4 weeks and you kind of do it within a month and a half, then automatically there becomes issues for us. You won't be eligible for it. So make sure you stick to those timelines. It's absolutely sacrosanct. Application interim approval, again, once you get it, you let us know what your budgets are. We tell you your calculation, and the remaining process remains the same. Once your project is over, you have 90 days to give us your entire supporting bills essentially for the project. Who can apply is the Indian post-production visual effects animation company. So in both, whether it's live shoots or whether it's animation projects, the person who needs to put in the application at FFO's end has to be the Indian partner. Now, official co-productions, like Ankur mentioned, we have 16 countries that we have treaties with. The reimbursement is 30% of the qualifying co-production expenditure. Cap remains 30 crores, so there's no change. That remains a constant throughout. If there is a requirement for, if the script evaluator feels that there is a need for an NOC that's required, then you get the 100% on once you get us the NOC for the project. If not, one of the biggest benefits of applying as an official co-production is the fact that you can apply for what's the option. My apologies. You can apply for an interim dispersal, which essentially means that once, let's say you are likely to spend 100 rupees in India, once you finish spending 50 rupees, which is 50% of that amount that you said you would spend in India, you can get back 50% as an interim dispersal. So 15% of that expenditure you can essentially get back before your project is entirely complete. So otherwise, in both the other case scenarios, it's once the project is complete, within 90 days of that is when you have to submit your entire documentation. When it becomes an official co-production, you have the benefit of applying for an interim dispersal, which can really ease your financial burden, can really pad up your production as well. So this is something that you can definitely avail of in the official co-production route. There is no minimum qualifying spends that's required in an official co-production. That's another benefit. So these are two things that you should definitely kind of look at when it's an official co-production. The process of application, there's a slight change here. Who can apply is the Indian co-producer. When you need to apply for it is once you get the application for a co-production status. So that's something that, for instance, Lena leads. So she's the person you would need to be in touch with to make sure that you get all your documentation, your official co-production certificate. So she will help you navigate that entire process. Once you get that, your official co-production certificate is when you need to put in an application for an interim approval. Contract being finalized is a key aspect. And like I mentioned, you can get a 50% approval once your 50% of your costs are incurred in India. And once the 50% is done and your project is complete, the timeline for that disbursal remains the same, which is 90 days. So one of the best parts about our policies, which we're really happy, to let you know of the fact, is that you can combine it with the different state incentives that are available, provided the state lets you do that. So this is a quick snapshot of the incentives that various states offer. You can combine the two, and that just becomes more beneficial for the filmmaker to use it. And if you need support with who to reach out to, we can help you with that as well. So in that sense, our policy, just to give you a sense of the timelines as well, right? So when we're saying 90 days is within which you can get the money back, why that timeline is something that we're so proud of is the fact that in other countries, that entire process, whether even if it's an interim approval, can take up to 2 to 3 months. The final amount comes to you a year later. So for us, that 20-day timeline to get you the interim approval and the 90-day timeline to give you the final disbursal, provided again your documentation is all in place, is extremely fast compared to what the timelines are, internationally. It's something that we stick to the T. So this is just a quick snapshot. We've also revamped the FFO portal. So to really kind of make it much more easier for the filmmaker, Ram will take you through the portal, just the various aspects of the website as well. And then we'll open it up to questions that you might have, and we'll take it forward from there. Ram, do you want to take them through the slide?
Thank you, Shruti, and thanks for that presentation. I'll now share my screen. This is something we are kind of excited about. The new FFO website has been launched in the beta version just 2-3 days back, and we've been working on it for the last 5-6 months now, and so we are excited about it, and it makes life quite easy for most of us. So just let me share my screen, and we'll take it from there. Yeah, so this is what your dashboard will look like. And you can, there is a new application. You can apply for filming permission for live shoots, official co-productions, animation, post-production, railways permission. These are all been integrated into one dashboard. And once you have got your permission, then this will also be reflected in your dashboard. In the case of incentives for animation and for post-production, as Shruti mentioned, there is no requirement of prior permission. You can apply directly for interim approval. And this is the, you can go into the incentive tracking and then you click on foreign film animation post-production tab. And then it will, you can start your application there itself. However, in the case of foreign film live shoot, etc., you will have already had to take a permission, and that will reflect on your dashboard. So it's a very intuitive site, and the details are given. The user manual and step-by-step guides also given on the website. So we encourage you to to log in onto the website, create your IDs. So each those who have already got their FFO IDs, we request you to just wait for some days, 3-4 days, before we migrate all the database to the new website from the earlier website. But others who want to start, want to make any application for incentives or for permissions, they can log into to the permission website. Lina, can we just go to the film permission for live shoot application form? It's a new application. If you click on this, this is those who have submitted application for permissions earlier. This is the similar, because the documentation and formats are all the same, but it's in a more intuitive form, and the details are given clearly. And there are documentation to be uploaded. You have to give your details, and then also there are some of the documents like script and synopsis, and also you need to submit the location details, the crew details, etc., which are to be given. You have to upload your passport. This is for basically the passport copy of the foreign producer, email ID, contact number, and a country from where the international production company is, and their details. Yeah, so you just fill in the details because these are all required by the Ministry of Information Broadcasting. We will also come, so these are the various, as Shruti mentioned, these are the various production categories that the FFO does provide permission for. You have to upload the synopsis and the script of the project, and a cover letter saying that the Indian representative is been authorized by the foreign production house. The format is given. If it's based on a living or deceased personality, if it is, then we encourage you to get an NOC from the next of kin of those personalities. And then you have to put in the location details, period of shoot, because this is also required for the film visa, and these details are required for that. Is basically the place where it should. There is also a list of restricted areas which would take more time for approval, because that has to go to the Ministry of Home Affairs, at least 60 days required for the process. Then if you continue on the form, the crew details, sometimes customs exemption letter is also required. And then you have to give the details of the crew, foreign crew, because this would be required for their visas. You know that there is a specific category of visa for foreign nationals coming to film in India. That's called the film visa, and that can be applied after getting the permission from the Ministry of INB. Yeah, so here there is for the crew details, there is a template in Excel sheet, which is in Excel format, which also you can upload because sometimes there are a lot of crew members that come, and you have to give a lot of information like passport details, passport expiry date, and pictures, etc. So that can be avoided by pre-loading the information in the given Excel template and uploading the same, which will be captured in this data. And then once you continue on the form, you also have to upload the passport copy of each individual. And once you continue, you have to fill in the details of the Indian representative, which is normally the local production service company or the line production company. Again, the details are pre-filled, assuming that this is from the Indian companies applying. So you try to make that also an intuitive process. Yeah, so one for this, then you submit there is a payment of $225 required for live shoot permissions. This is basically goes towards your script evaluation, etc. So that payment, it will take you, once you submit, it will take you to the payment gateway, which has where you can pay online. At the moment, the payment gateway is disabled because the KYC process is on. But once if you submit now, it will give you a message that your application has been received, and then the FFO will reach out with the details of the bank for which you have to make the NEFT payment. The payment gateway should be on in the next couple of days as well. Now, in the case of animation and post-production services, there is no requirement of this permission. Also, just for if you are going as a co-production under the official treaty, the forms are the same, similar, but you will also have to fill in the details of the country of co-production, and also there is a co-production agreement that has to be submitted. So, and also the budget. So this is a separate form, and you have to fill it up accordingly and submit this also entails a fee of $225. So once you have got your permission, then you can apply for incentives. I think many of you are interested in how to apply for the incentives, especially since as you see the questions there, you're mostly looking at animation and post-production. So you don't have to go through this application permission process. You can go directly to the incentive project and apply for interim approval. You see, if you say live shoot, then that would basically populate your permissions and what is required. So as Shruti mentioned in her presentation, every project there is a minimum eligibility condition that is for all the categories. And in the case of animation projects, the minimum eligibility condition is For that, you need to have a minimum QPE of 1 crore rupees, and you have to apply within 1 month of signing of the agreement between the Indian PPA and the foreign producer. So the first screen that you see would be your eligibility. If you fulfill this eligibility conditions, and only then it will allow you to go further. And once you do that, you'll have to fill up details regarding your company, and also the type of project, and the documentation to be given, which basically is your we'll just fill up a dummy form for you. So date of signing of the contract should be at least within 1 month of the date that you apply. And the QPE should be more than 1 crore rupees. Otherwise, this form will not go forward. So once you submit, it will take you to the form. I think we will not go through the whole form now, but basically you have to give details of your company, and also the production size, the estimated budget, and also you have to submit documents in support of the details you have submitted. So there is an attachment checklist. Basically, you need to have a contract between the Indian company and the foreign company. The schedule, the estimate, all the bona fides of the Indian company like PAN, GST, certificate of incorporation, etc. And also you have to submit the certificate of incorporation of the foreign company. Please also note that all agreements that are submitted for incentives have to be on stamp paper in India. That is, they have to be franked and signed, and they have to be on the stamp paper in India. So that's a primary requirement for all incentive applications. So this is basically the application process, and I think we'll leave it at that. We invite you to explore the website, and please let us know if there are any questions, or if you face any difficulties moving forward. We have extensively tested the site, but there can be some glitches, and we can help you get through that. Thank you so much, everyone, and sorry about that slight interruption there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Shruti, Leena, and Ram, for a wonderful presentation. It's been quite informative. Before we go through the questions that people have been asking in the chat, we had a few questions that came up when people were registering for the webinar. So I'll quickly run through them, and if you can please help answer them. Is there a requirement of particular type of perpetuity holding pattern of the IP rights?
No.
All right.
Is there more like details on that, or is that the question?
That's just a question. Basically, what they're asking is that is it required for the project, for the Indian company to have IP rights on the project that they're working on for it to qualify?
No, that's not something that we specify.
No, if I may, Shruti, regarding IP rights, as far as the incentives are concerned, we say that the incentives are for foreign productions in India and for official co-productions. So how we define a foreign producer is that the foreign producer should be holding the IP rights for that production, and they should primarily finance the project in India. So these are the two definitions for the foreign producer that are given in the guidelines. So taking from that means that if it is a foreign production, the IP rights have to be by the foreign producer. in case of a co-production, then this is defined by the treaty. Each individual treaty has definitions of what the rights would be, what would be the rights of each producer or each producer resident in the treaty country would be. These are defined in the co-production treaty, and they would go accordingly. So the rights, the financial contributions, etc., are defined in the treaty. If that answers the question.
Thank you, Ram. The next question is.
No.
The next question is Sri Lanka part of the treaty? If not, can we initiate? So Sri Lanka and India do not have a co-production treaty currently, but please correct me if I'm wrong, that they can initiate this under the foreign production.
Yes, it can be initiated. Yes.
Thank you. The next one is that is there a cap on the number of projects or films that a particular company can submit, perhaps in a calendar year or in any specific timeline?
No, there's no cap as such. It's all first come, first serve. So there was somebody else, I think Akshay asked a question saying, can there be 2 applications from a company? No, Arpit had asked, can an animation studio apply for 2 or more projects? The answer to that is yes.
Thank you. The next question is, if we establish a company in India with a foreign partner, would we be eligible for service incentives?
You're going to have to clarify with the foreign partners in. So it's the same company.
Yes, it's the foreign partner who's outsourcing the work, but he is also a partner in the local company.
Ram, you want to answer that?
Well, yeah, we'll have to see the how it is, because as per the guidelines are very clear. There should be a foreign producer who is primarily funding it, and then they own the IP. There should be an Indian post-production animation services company which is registered in India for GST and tax purpose and is an Indian entity. So these are 2 things that are there, and accordingly, because I mean there can be huge n number of permutations and combinations in this, so we cannot answer on that. We will have to see specific projects and then take forward from there. So
there was a question on something about an escrow model of co-production as well. I think Pawan had asked that question. No, oh, sorry, he messaged me directly saying it's applicable for escrow model co-production projects as well. So, I mean, it's straightforward. The guidelines are quite clear about what the requirement is. So,
thank you. The next question is, can we begin the production while we wait on the approval? There's a 90 days. Will the QPE be from the date of approval, or can once the people file the application start? Because there's a question that, generally once the agreement is signed, people have, strict timelines on the production. So can they start the production, or they need to wait for the approvals?
Is this for an animation or a live project?
I
think this is for animation.
For animation.
In the case of animation, the date of your submission of application to FFO, now it's an online process. You will be getting an acknowledgement. So the date from that day onwards, you can you can start your expenses. Those expenses will be counted. So that would mean you sign your contract, and within 1 month you have to submit your application. So the sooner you submit, the sooner you can start your expenses.
Thank you. The next question is from Saran, which is, please share some insights on subsidy benefits for MNCs running the extended production units in India. So basically, if it's an MNC which also has a domestic production arm in India, do they qualify for an MNC? Do they qualify for these?
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Foreign producer, Indian partner. It has to be that straightforward sort of an agreement. So is
can I be
getting
specific?
an Indian partner to Yeah, sure, Saranas.
Yes, thanks, Shruti, for the wonderful presentation. My question is, let me explain the structure. Let us say there is a MNC abroad, okay, whatever the country, okay, they do services project for the like a main producer. Let us say Netflix or somebody, a big giants, okay.
Mm.
So sometimes it can be service projects, sometimes it can be co-production, or different way of contracting is happening. So when it comes to this MNC, they will not have a big unit, production unit in their own location. Mostly they'll run out of their location. Let us say that's running in India. Okay. But 100% employment, which is happening in India, and the contract is signing from Canada or USA and getting into a production agreement between the actual broadcaster. So when you say global producer, it has a lot of integrities, embedded in it. So how do you see this? So Netflix is giving a project to MNC, an MNC. That MNC is running their production unit in India. How this company, foreign company, signing a contract from Canada or America or Singapore, but running their production unit in India. How the benefit structure will work in this structure?
So the agreement is between Netflix and the company, the production company in India, right? So that's a requirement there.
Sometimes no, because of Singapore government is giving some benefit, they might enter agreement through Singapore, through Canada, through America. It can be anything.
For Indian incentives, Indian company
Yeah,
has
Indian
to
company has to be
enter
there.
into foreign companies. Simple.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the agreement has to happen on the Indian stamp paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And the Indian
Yes.
company has to be mentioned as a partner, right? As the
Yes, as the Indian
producing
service
Indian
company,
partner.
the company that is applying for the incentive in India has to be an Indian company based in India, paying taxes in India and registered in India.
That
Yeah.
part is, see
And
now.
And also
just
then-
let me finish. So,
Yeah.
and then they have to have the agreement between the Indian company
Correct.
and the foreign producer.
And also,
Right.
in case like there's a third company that you're saying, okay, Netflix is giving it to a Singapore-based company and is giving it to Indian company, whatever the permutation combinations are, there's also a requirement for an authority letter from the main producer who's international, right? So that's something that they have to give, saying that the Indian partner is eligible to carry, is allowed, rather given the authority to carry out this work on our behalf. So you have to be able to provide for that as well. So whatever the setup might be. So it has to mention the Indian partner here.
Yeah, okay. In this triangle communication, one part is clear. My question is again, let us say I'm taking example as Infosys. Infosys running a company, head office registered in America, but they have entire unit present in India. So now Infosys signing a contract with Netflix. Okay, but their Indian wing only is going to execute the project. So it is not that Infosys is offloading or outsourcing the project to some other company which is inside India. No. So it is Infosys, which is present as well in India, as well in America or Canada. Okay, they're getting into a contract. Okay. So my question is precisely in this triangle.
Saran, I think it's quite clear that the agreement has to be done by the Indian entity.
Yes.
So
Okay.
if Infosys, US entity or the Singapore entity is doing the agreement, that does not qualify.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Saran had a follow-up question regarding filming permissions for live action. Can this application be one-stop shop for all permissions pertaining to any municipalities inside India? Because to my knowledge, each city administration offices will have their own rules and fee structure for film shooting.
So we support you with the permissions that you need.
If I may comment,
Yeah, please.
on the website front for the one-stop solution, we are working with the states. At the moment, on the website, we have a common application form which you can fill up in case you have any domestic project, and we can send it to the state nodal officers who will in turn help you with the permission. And in the future, we are already working with them for integration of their online system to our system. Most of the states which have an online system, they are integrated till their municipality level, which means that once you apply to them, it goes down to their whatever level of clearance is required, and it comes back to you as a single permission. So the idea of the integration is that entire process for the entire country happens to the FFO website. For states who do not have an online system, say for example, like the northeastern states or some of the union territories who don't have an online system, you can apply to our common application form on the FFO website, and we will reach out to them, and we have full support from their government.
And in the interim, I think up until the website is up, you can just reach out to us, let us know what you need support with, and we can figure those out.
Yeah, till the integration is
Yeah.
on, we all have the common application form. You can apply for each state. Supranda, you have some query. I can see you raise your hand. You can unmute yourself and
You're on mute.
Supranda, you're on mute.
सुप्रान जी आप म्यूट पे हैं। हाँ जी।
Is it okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So, well, thank you, Shruti and other for a wonderful presentation. In fact, I was indirectly associated with FFO for a very long time earlier, when I was part of the Film Protection Committee. Anyway, but there are so many TTs, etc. We were also part of it when we finalized the TT with all the countries. Now, just a quick question, number one, we should not forget that ours is the federal government. Whatever we have, even the states have their own laws. There's so many things which are under the banner of the states. If Rajasthan today does something, then the Madhya Pradesh may not like it. So there are so many issues, like for instance, on the tax front also there is an LBT that is called local body tax. So like that various things, we have to tackle. I think the one window clearance thing has been cleared by FFO earlier, and I don't want to go into those details because we don't have much time. So we have to look into all these things where the state governments have got their own rules and regulations. We have to see, number one. Number two, there is a very, very important factor. Now, every region has got their own workers' bodies. Now, whenever if any foreigners also come or Indian producers also come, they have to either seek the permission from them, or they have to engage a certain amount of workers from there. Otherwise, they will not permit you. They will not allow you, not permit exactly. If you want to do some shooting, say somewhere in Ratnagiri, the Bombay Association will go there and they stop the shootings. So, is there any machinery NFDC has got, or can they tackle this issue? I can help them, of course, if they want, then how to tackle this issue. But then this is a very important factor. Though we are inviting foreign investors to come to India, but we have to look into all these factors. But they're very, very important. Even, you see, if it is a cooperation also, even another issue is what, so when we want to go abroad, say suppose there is some sort of a reciprocal arrangement that a foreign country comes and we'll go there. But we should not forget that there are a lot of other factors. Now, for instance, once we were planning, a producer was planning to go to West Indies. He came to us and said that we want to do it. Can you help us? Then finally they dropped the idea. They said everything is fine, but the fares are so high. So if we take a unit of 150, it will not be suitable. So anyway, these are just factors I said because we don't have much time. So I would like to discuss in case there is anything. I will come to NFDC and discuss. They're also in fact, I am a part of NFDC once. So that is why, and once again, Shruti and others, Saran, Leena, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. But we must take into account these workers' issues. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you,
Supranda.
Supranta.
It's all well noted. We will definitely have a conversation with you offline and take these issues forward. You have always supported us, and we look forward to your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
very
you,
much.
Supan sir. Sushil Kumar Bhasin had a question that do you have any successful project as case study? So has any project already availed the subsidy?
We have over 40 projects that have come in for applications. Over 5 have received their funding. In fact, the fastest that we've processed it is a little over 30 days. And that's because the documentation was just impeccable. So it all comes down to how well you are maintaining your accounts. Is it, does it follow all the rules? So if everything is in place and best case scenario, it can be that fast. So.
Thank you. Gaurav has asked for the stamp paper, is there a minimum amount for the stamp paper?
There's no minimum amount, but you have to follow whatever the specific state that you're applying from. Am I correct, Ram?
That's right.
I
So
think
each
agreement
state
is
has got
50
its. No, 50 is, I think 100 is the lowest you have in states like UP and all. So it depends on, Maharashtra is quite high. So it depends on, it's a basic agreement that you have to sign, and then the agreement has to be on stamp paper. So accordingly, you have to give the stamp.
Thank you. Gaurav also had two follow-up.
For official co-productions, I think, I mean, it's about 500 that you can sign, like your treaty that you signed, under official, I'm talking only about the official co-production. And that co-production agreement itself works for the incentives also. Am I correct, Ram? Like if it is an official co-production.
Thank you. Gaurav had two follow-up questions. One is, does the Indian company needs to be registered with FFO or any other organization to apply for incentives? And the second one is on the company structure, whether it needs to be a private limited LLC or can partnership, proprietorship or OPC also apply?
We are very,
Yeah.
very liberal on all those things. It has to be a company registered in India and
Yeah.
with normal tax-paying company. That is basically GST registration is required and number is required. So that's there, and there is no registration with FFO required, but when you apply online, there is, as is demonstrated, there is an online registration screen wherein you have to give your basic details after which you can follow the application process. So yeah, I think that's both the questions answered.
Thank you. I'll just run through the questions which are there in the chat, and then I'll come to Rameshji, you and sir, I don't know your name, it's coming as Google Pixel 6 Pro. There is Arpit has asked, if an animation production is not qualifying the minimum expenditure condition, but it has strong chances for extension, what should be the best process to apply in this specific scenario? Arpit, if you remember on the website, it asked you for the QPE. So if you don't qualify, I don't think it'll let you move forward.
It won't.
Um,
If it's foreign, like a service project, then there's that minimum expenditure. If you're doing the official co-production route, then there is no minimum requirement for spend. So it really depends on what route you take.
Venki has asked, if two companies are involved in one co-production project from India, can both apply for the schemes?
No, it's one person has to apply for it, and it's a single application per project.
Thank you. Nilendra has asked, for an international co-production from Sri Lanka, is it mandatory you need an Indian producer? Yes, Nilendra, because they are the ones who are going to file for the subsidy. Kamal has asked, we have created a pilot for animation feature where we want to have an international pre-production partner. Can we apply?
Sorry, say that again.
Kamal has asked that we have created a pilot for an animation feature where we want to have an international pre-production partner. Can we apply? So it's a domestic IP, but they're using, I think, international talent for co-production.
No, because how would that work? So there's no money coming in, right? There has to be some amount of investment in India. It's the contrary, they're going out for support. So that wouldn't be eligible. Unless, again, but then we don't even have a treaty with them, so no.
Yeah, until it's a official co-production, in which case I think they can apply.
Correct.
Akshay asked, do we have any incentive for making of Indian IP? Akshay, I think there is a 5% additional incentive for the substantial Indian, significant Indian content.
Yeah, but that's again provided that's 25% of the spends is going to be in India, and there's those 5 criteria that's required.
Sir, Google Pixel 6 Pro, please go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, my name is Amit Dev. In 2011, I was involved into a Malaysian project called Painud Iskandar, where we formed a similar structure with 9 or 10 state authorities within Malaysia and forming a international style on top of that so that international co-production can be handled properly. Have we checked any of those things? Just as an example, I'm not saying we need to follow, but there it brought in a lot of international co-production into that studio, and I feel that I can support some details, which came from Pinewood of England and also the Iskandar Authority from Malaysia. And we also took help from a lot of Singapore-based state bodies. So if that is of any good use, I can share all that with you.
Thank you, sir. Ramesh ji, you had a question.
Yes. Can you hear me? Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I got a bonus here because with documentaries, suddenly you guys, so there's one thing that as I head a documentary organization, I get calls in the middle of the night. Suddenly our members are getting harassed despite permissions. And I myself am witness to the company that was shooting Slumdog Millionaire. So I was just faffing around with them on a Sunday, friends come to Bombay to shoot. And twice the cop gypsy came in, giving a 4-hour shift. The moment a duty shift comes in, these guys will come in for their patrols and stuff. And then the manager, excused himself and went for a ride with the gypsy. And what do we do about that? Because when this first shooting incentives came in, I'd also suggested to our parent association organization that the government must keep a consultant who takes care of all this lubrication of, these sub-government or non-government authorities, these cops and things like that. What do we do about that? Especially for, a small documentary filmmaker, this harassment can be, they get scared. What do we do?
Even with film,
Pardon me?
can I butt in?
Yes, please.
Ramesh, what you said, I just add to that, not only with the documentary, even with the feature films also sometimes, even if you know that after the film is censored, some bodies, they go and, with a black flag, they say that we will not allow this film to be released. Now, there are certain bodies that are operating in India, like that. There's Bajrang Dal, for instance. So obviously it is not with documentary, it is with the feature films also. So that is also very important.
Sir, what has happened here is, there was a case of we are shooting in famous studio and suddenly some association comes in and starts blackmailing us. You can't use, permissions were taken, including permissions for foreign artists. And suddenly they come and blackmail you and you can't do a thing about it because at that time you got a production going. And, I don't think this is the forum for it, I mean, right now we are talking of incentives and I'll have to figure out, how well to utilize these incentives and, that so we can, I mean, you've always been of help, when you were there, but then you're not. So that is it. Anyhow, thank you very much. I felt that this should be there and for documentaries, fantastic. I think, quite a few people will look forward to it. I'll have to understand the paperwork. It's still confusing, but we'll understand that. That is my job. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rameshji. Ashok has asked, I do see a question which was there earlier also on the, expenses which are covered under QPE. So for those people who are asking regarding the expenses that are covered, Shruti and team, is there a clarification on the website for the different line items?
Yes. So it's also there in the guidelines, which we'll of course share with you, and the presentation we try share that with you as well. So it has the details. But just to give you a broad sense of what is included is any fees that you pay above the line, below the line, crew, prop, set constructions, your goods and services, your camera hiring, food, beverages, editing, basically any expense that you can think of is included. Big exclusions are your taxes paid, is travel, any sort of long-term lease that you might do, any audit and legal expenses. I mean, you would have to go through it further in detail, but these are just broad strokes of what is included and not. Does that help?
Thanks for the presentation, madam. Actually, for the post-production services also the same thing or how it will be?
Post-production services, again, all of those are included. Any expenditure on your, incurred in India is included. Anything on personal is also included.
Yeah,
Exclusions, again, your
yeah,
legal.
included in the sense on the salary side, or which one we need to include on that?
Ashok, Lena has posted a link
Yeah.
on your query, which
Yeah.
contains detailed guidelines. So if you
Okay.
can just click on that, it'll give you the details.
Okay.
If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll help you connect.
Okay.
So
Saravanan has a
just one
yeah, please.
addition. I know the 71 pages can seem like a bit of a, big task at hand. What I would
Yeah.
recommend that you do is don't go through the entire 71 pages. Specific to your section, just make sure that you're completely familiar with that part. So there's just go to the first page. There's page number 2, in fact, of the incentive guidelines is a quick Excel sheet snapshot of what the figures are. Start with those. Once you get familiar with that, then go to the section that's relevant to you. Everything is, got page numbers for it. So once you go there, then everything is actually fairly self-explanatory. If you still sort of have questions, and of course, between the two teams, we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Saravanan has asked, do we also get incentives if a company does animation service production where foreign investment comes in and a good number of Indian employment is done? Saravanan, yes, that will come
Yes.
under the foreign production.
Yes.
I hope I have covered everyone's questions. If
Yeah. Scrolling up.
Sumit has asked, we have developed IP for international market, and now we started first episode of 11 minutes. Any suggestion on how we can get any incentive? We have all formal documents with us as private limited company.
So the project is already started.
Sumit, you need to apply
You have to
before the
apply.
project starts.
It has to be.
Afterward is not applicable. If I have not covered anyone's question, I request them to quickly unmute, or if anybody has any last questions, please feel free before we.
Yeah, I have a.
Yeah, please go ahead, Kamal.
I need to know that out of those 5 funded projects, is there any animation project which is already funded?
Not as yet.
Not as yet.
So animation projects
Yeah.
also have a longer time for completion, right? So
Okay.
we are waiting. I think we should have one applications coming in soon. They'll start trickling in. But majority of the project applications that have come in have been animation projects also. I mean, it's actually evenly split between live and animation projects. So I'm hoping that is something that puts you at ease. But we should start coming in soon, and we'll have better insight once they come in terms of, what are the common issues faced, what were the timelines like. So we'll be in touch with the team and we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Chakradhar from ESMA. I have one question regarding any upcoming agreements with Taiwan or Ireland.
Co-production agreements?
Yeah, treaty agreements.
Treaty agreement, I mean, it takes time. And as of now, we don't have any kind of a outlook in terms of what is going to transpire in the future. But as it stands, the 16 that we have is what there are.
Yeah.
But of
We
course,
are negotiating with them. We haven't signed the agreement. We would love to see if there is something coming up in the next couple of months. We would like to wait till the treaty is ready. That's why we are working. Is it under works or anything with Taiwan or Ireland?
Either way, it's going to definitely take longer than a couple of months. So you should go ahead and apply for it as a foreign project for now.
Okay. Our work starts in January. So is that realistic that we see there is a hope for it?
Not be able to give you
Not even.
picture.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chakradhar. If there are no further questions, may I request Kamal to extend hearty thanks on behalf of MII to everyone. Kamal, you're on mute.
Thanks, Ankur. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of MEAI, I would love to extend and congratulate everyone who had made today's webinar possible. And I would like to thank Ramkumar sir, Lena and Shruti for your wonderful contribution and sharing all the details about this wonderful scheme to everybody who is here. Apart from that, our sincere appreciation goes to the organizing team, because without their support, it won't be possible to have such a good webinar where everyone from different areas of filmmaking, whether it is animation, post-production, or live action, coming together and asking our queries to you. Once again, I'm sure that in future, we'll keep bugging you more, because there are lots of hundreds of queries, already there in our minds, and we would love to know that how we can get India's name global when it comes to filmmaking. So once again, Ramkumar sir, Leena, and Shruti, thank you for your valuable time. And we, in anticipation of having more of these kind of conversation in the future, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kamal. This was actually wonderful. We should do more of these maybe every quarter. Get all your questions together and have more sessions like these. I think once you go through the process of putting in one application, and then I think the kind of questions that you'd have will be very different. So we urge you to go through the guidelines, go through the incentives in detail, and then reach out to us. So a different set of questions 3 months from now then.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope that by the next time we have this webinar, we do have some participants here who have already applied and perhaps avail
We
the
look forward
subsidy.
to that for sure.
Just to add to that, we also need your help, because on our website we are also developing the resource directory. So we want as many resources like animation, post-production services, artists who want to register themselves or be listed as a thing. If you could help us with that, because that is what we are looking at, because we can't populate that ourselves, guidelines, all rules and regulations, government thing we can get out, but we really need your help in terms of the industry feedback. So we would request your help if you could kindly help us with all this information so that we can make our website as populated with information as possible. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ankur, for taking the trouble of organizing this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank you, Ankur.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
And
much.
having that quarterly is a great suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
ఇప్పుడు చూద్దాం